Hey YouTube, it's JP Dillon. Welcome to part 2 of the Zenith 19-inch black and white portable. In the last video we took care of some shoddy workmanship, fired it up, only to discover that the horizontal frequency was off, and it appears as though the adjustment is broken. So we need to take a look at what that is and if it's possible to tweak the horizontal frequency so that we can get a picture, dial in the picture, and then hopefully this will be a usable set. So let's take a look at where the horizontal adjustment is and what's used to turn the coil. So you can see back here, here's your horizontal hole adjustment. Normally you're supposed to be able to just turn this and it adjusts a core, a ferrite core inside of this slug, but that's broken. There's no adjustment. We need to see if it's just the adjustment portion that's bad or if the core is actually cracked or broken. If that's the case, we're going to need to find another core for it. But the first thing to do is to get this apart and see what's inside. So with that adjustment away, it looks like the core is intact. I don't see any cracks or anything like that in the ferrite core. So it looks like we're lucky enough to just have the little plastic adjustment gizmo droid broken off. So now we need to see which one of my many alignment tools will fit this core, so that we can adjust it and get it right. So when you're in the business of fixing these electronics, it's really important to have alignment toolkits. They're non-metallic, anti-static. I have these 3 kits here, and I have another kit that's in a little bit better shape. But don't ever try to turn one of these adjustments with a metallic tool. The electrical effects will destroy the ferrite core. It will just crumble to bits. That's a common thing that I used to see, is people would go tweaking with their Allen heads and they would destroy the cores. So these are basically, they just call these alignment tool sets. There's various types, different sizes. There's flat blade types, there's hex types, square types, slotted types. Get everything that you can depending on what you work on, but that's pretty crucial. This is probably the most common one that I use for RF. Sizes have kind of worn off here, so it's hard to see what this is, but I think that this is probably the one we're going to end up using. This one has a lot of sizes that are better for older IF cans with big trimmers on them, and then this is for a lot of the newer stuff I work on, 80s and 90s, that have those little miniature IF cans. But I think probably the 2 to 2.5 inch, or excuse me, 2.5 millimeter will be the one that'll work here. Let me just grab this tool and pull it out, make everybody motion sickness here. So here's the 2.5 millimeter, and that's like a perfect fit. So we can use this to dial the horizontal frequency in, and then we'll do the linearity and all those adjustments and everything and see if we can't get this thing to actually work right again. Alright, well, now we get to listen to the noise of the street trucks outside pumping out something in the sewer. That's great. Let's fire it up. Wakey, wakey. Alright. Let's turn on our generator. And of course now it's going to totally behave itself. Alright, so as I've mentioned before, the best way to deal with horizontal frequency is to tune it off station slightly so that you lose sync. And we can see that without sync, our horizontal is fairly far off. So we're going to adjust the frequency until those bars stand vertically. Like that. And you see if we go in the opposite direction, it goes in the opposite direction. So we're going to make them stand up. That's our phase lock right there. Now it's going to lock in nice and happy, and when we switch to and from channels, it's looking good. Definitely got some twitch going on there. Let's tap on the horizontal oscillator tube. No, that doesn't affect it. Nope. Good there. Good there. Alright, let's change our pattern. And let's see if we can go to something like a basic crosshatch. It's a little bit better. We can definitely see we have some non-linearity issues here. And of course now I've destroyed the fucking fine-tuning. It's probably got one of the famous gears in it. We may have to go in later and tweak that. Alright. So I'm going to get a screwdriver and we're going to mess with the size and linearity adjustments. I'm going to get a light back there so I can see what I'm doing. And let's see. They're on the opposite side. Let's first adjust our width a little bit. These tend to have a lot of overscan. We'll adjust the slider on the focus. See if we can sharpen it up a little. It's pretty good as is. Alright. So what I'm going to have to do is orient this a little bit differently so that I can make the adjustments, because the adjustments I need to make are back here, and if I stand here I'm going to bump the camera thing all around and make it crazy. Difficult for you guys to see, so let me change a few things and see if we can reorient this. Alright, that's a little better. I'm not sure how well this will work. I'm also missing a tool. There we go. The first thing I'm going to do is adjust the vertical size and see if we can't shore up the bottom a little bit. When I do that, you can see the top's going to get huge. So then I need to turn down the vertical linearity, which is this guy. And now my horizontal's going to freak out. And let's come back up to the size again. This is just a fun exercise in tweaking what this is. And then let's go up to the linearity again and tweak that. Looking for uniformity. And might adjust the centering rings too. I think the centering rings are a bit off. And let's see here. We have a little bit of non-linearity stretch over here. And we also need to level the yoke. The yoke's pretty crooked. So there's a nut back here you adjust to loosen the clamp very carefully. And let's see if we can't... ooh, there was a big difference there. And let me step back here and take a look. That's pretty close. We've got a little bit of yoke distortion there. But I don't think I'm going to try to adjust it too much more. We're just going to tighten this down. I'm sure I'm bumping the crap out of it right now. And let's see here. That's looking okay. Yeah, we got our fine tuning back. Buzz-o-matic. Just back that off until we get proper video response. Yeah, some plastic gear slipping on there. That's pretty common. Our peak picture control, brightness, contrast, vertical hold. See, I'm getting in your guys' way. Well, anyways, we've got a little bit of non-linearity here. That could be a waveform shaping problem. That could be the fact that it's a non-stock flyback. Because you got to remember, the dude did change the flyback in this, whoever owned this last. So, we got the width set up. We really need to adjust the buzz with a program. But otherwise, that looks pretty decent. It's nice sharp raster. Such a lovely sound. Just double check our level here. It's got a little distortion, but that's pretty close. That's the timeout for the generator auto shut off after 5 minutes. So you don't kill your batteries. It is battery operated. Okay. I think now what we're going to do is get it hooked up to an actual signal so that we can check the geometry on live television and make sure that it's happy looking. Set the inner carrier buzz and then wrap this one up. Looking pretty good. It's our lovely dish.
That's all it's for.
La lata 400 gramos.
In my small bowl here, I'm going to put some sesame oil.
Lost in a doorway. I'm glad that video's gone out.
I love how well this works.
It's always someone doing evil witchcraft things in dark rooms.
Something happened. It's Jason's Lost Fox 5 News.
Like Joe Biden has just unveiled a massive $1.9 trillion coronavirus relief package, which aims to help rebuild the economy after the pandemic. The plan includes a round of $1,400 stimulus checks, enhanced federal unemployment benefits, and a $15 per hour minimum wage.
Our rescue plan also includes immediate relief to Americans hardest hit and most in need.
There we
We'll
go.
finish the job of getting a total of $2,000 in cash relief to people who need it the most. The $600 already appropriated is simply not enough. We just have to choose between paying rent.
Well, I wouldn't call that a great picture, but
Earlier, county.
it certainly looks good.
And again, it's talking about the fact that we can keep the
all of the issues of COVID, but mentally, these kids need this for
nice
their
black
mental health.
levels.
There's a lot of depression issues. Some of these kids are banking on scholarships because their families
Peak
can't
picture
afford
is
school.
nice.
Here
Does
is
sharpen it up a
something he
bit.
had to say prior to the 9:30 event.
When you're kind of down like this with any sport, you know, as in life, you
So this thing's looking pretty nice. I think it's ready for prime time. We still have a little bit of overscan, but that could just be because of the 4x3 let's see if we adjust the focus a little bit more. It's about as good as it's going to get. But overall, I think it turned out nice. It was good that we were able to tweak that horizontal. In fact, let me get the remote and see if I can adjust the aspect ratio a little bit better, because right now it's just stretching the crap out of it. That could just be due to formatting. Bear with me here. I never keep batteries in remotes just because, you know, things explode. Full. Yeah, I guess it's just a little bit of overscan. Even if you change the formatting, it really doesn't change things too much. There. Alright, so out comes the tube checker. And let's look up 6GK6. There we go. It looks like 6-volt filament, 40 plate, socket 9. Okay. Six-volt heater, 40 plate, socket 9. Let's see what happens. No short, no grid leakage. That's pretty tired. It's starting to come around, but not doing much. Yeah. That's about as good as we're getting. So that vertical amplifier is very tired. And that tester is pretty accurate for these type of applications, so we need to get ourselves another 6GK6 and that will probably take care of our vertical size issue, because even after it's been on a while it doesn't change. But no shorts and no grid emission failures, so another 6GK6 on the way. And then once we get that guy swapped out, we'll redo our vertical adjustments and take it for a drive again. Alright, so reaching into the depths of the supply house, I got a new old stock 6GK6. Let's pop it open, assuming it's going to let me do that. Pop this one in the tester and compare it. Come on. As we recall, the one I yanked out, which was also a Sylvania, never got above 40. So we're going to see where this one's at. It's lighting up. Not sure what it's doing here. There we go. Comes right up though. Really? Not much difference there. So that leads me to believe that either that brand new tube isn't brand new, since it's kind of hovering around the same point as the other one, or that's just it is a good tube, and let's compare it with the one I yanked out. And we got other issues going on in the vertical. Let's wait for the old one to warm up. What was true of the new one, though, is that the emission came up like instantly. Whereas this one, creep, 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 creep. It's not doing so hot. If we turn it down to 5 volts, then we really start to see it fall off. Alright, so I'm just going to conclude that. Let's see what the new one's like at 5 volts. Turn it up to 6 to start it. You can see that one just kind of comes right up. And if we turn it down to 5 volts, we see that the emission doesn't change, so that's a good tube. So let's pop this new one in the Zenith and see what it does to it as far as the vertical. Come on, key it up. Okay, so if that doesn't in fact cure the problem, then we have to look at cathode resistor, cathode capacitor, bypass cap, anything in a wave shaper. Let's see what we got over here. The 6BA11 compactron they use for the vertical oscillator. Let's test that one just for grins and giggles. So 6BA11 AFDECF. And what was the second row here? Double C and B at the end. And then last one was B and A. And we're looking at socket 23 and 92. I already got my socket saver in here. So this is our first section. We'll let this warm up. Wakey, wakey. Can't really see the filaments in there. No short. Pretty reasonable emission. It's still climbing as it warms up, so that's good. And so the second section, we'll hit the reset. And first section is just the A. And the last section is ECFB. So ECFB. And then the last two are CA, I guess. And that's going to be a plate of 84. And reasonable emission there too. So this guy's probably okay. Maybe it's just the vertical output tube was getting tired, but we'll see. We're going to hook it back up now with a new vertical output tube in it and redo the geometry and see if that makes it happy. Alright, so we've got the new vertical output in. Now, as you remember before, I had to have the vertical size cranked up almost all the way just to be able to get a decent size raster. So we'll see what it looks like now with a much better, or in theory a much better 6GK6 in it. See if this makes a difference. Alright, there's our raster. So we definitely have a little more size. And if I tweak this, I have to turn it down quite a bit. We're at about the halfway point now. Alright, so as before, what happened was after about maybe 10 or 15 minutes we started to see the vertical height shrink. So I think what I'm going to do now is let it sit for a bit. Let the tubes warm up and we'll see if our height changes. And if so, then we know we have other issues going on. But if not, then we know it was the vertical amplifier tube. In which case, it's pretty much going to be a happy camper from now on. So this is just a waiting game at this point, and no sense in having you sit here and watch the test pattern all day. So we'll come back to this in about maybe 15 to 20 minutes and see if there's any kind of vertical height change. Alright, so after about a half an hour, we start to get the vertical shrinkage again. And if I turn down the contrast here so you can kind of see the outline, we're getting the blanking bar here at the bottom. So let's turn that up a little bit. Didn't have to turn it up much though, so that's good. Got to get off this before I get popped for copyright.
He said that the day before the kidnapping, he threw a party since his wife's friends were staying with him for a few days.
So now we'll wait another 15 or 20 minutes and see if it progresses any worse.
His younger brother.
Alright, so about an hour in, we do have some vertical height diminution, which I now have the control maxed out. And to me, having that vertical size all the way up to obtain a raster is not okay. So we need to further investigate that. But what this does tell us is after being on an hour, other than the vertical size problem, the machine is stable. And it looks pretty good. I mean, we have that little bit of horizontal linearity stretch there on the left. It's not too bad. But there's no practical way to adjust that. There's no waveform adjustments like there are on a color TV. So you could play around with capacitors and things like that and probably get it a little bit better. But for now, what I really want to focus on, which will be in the next video, is getting the vertical height issues sorted out. And so probably we've got a resistor that's drifted up in value. That's part of the supply voltage to the plate. Or maybe we've got a problem in the oscillator circuit. Again, funky capacitor, bad resistor, something like that. But for now, it's pretty stable. It's a decent looking picture. But I hope you guys enjoyed this portion of the video. In the part 3, we'll get into troubleshooting the vertical circuitry and see if we can get a lot more usable range on that size control. But for now, thanks for watching. More stuff to come.